for their consistently high production and hardiness. After preparing the earth and building a shade cover of thatch, the seed is laid out evenly and covered with about 2 inches of rich soil, or even better, river silt. These sprouts have been here about 2 months and are ready to be transplanted to the nursery. Moved to the nursery, the young plants are intensively cultivated for 1 year. They are weeded, fed, and irrigated constantly. La Minita grows between 120,000 and 250,000 nursery plants each year, depending upon projected need. The plants shown here are called Caturra, which have consistently shown themselves to be superior in hardiness and production. It also gives a very fine cup of coffee. These plants have a viable lifespan of 15 years. After the third 5-year pruning cycle, the trees are dug up and replaced by 1-year-old nursery plants. This section was completely renovated this year because the coffee was totally exhausted and was no longer producing. The coffee was replanted with spacing of 1 3/4 meters between plants. The entire row was rebuilt with terraces and is being kept clean. Fertilizer is applied on the flat of the terraces. The terraces can be clearly seen as fertilizer is applied to this section of 2-year-old coffee. All of the coffee trees on the plantation are fertilized at the base of their trunks 3 times each year. The first 2 applications are of a full formula fertilizer developed through soil testing by the farm's agronomist, and the third application is of nitrogen. About every 5 years, lime is also applied to keep the pH balanced. A high-pressure pump driven by the power takeoff of a tractor allows a spray composed of minor elements such as zinc and boron to be applied 3 times yearly to all of the coffee. This is akin to giving the plants vitamins. It keeps the foliage strong and resistant to disease. The mixture is sprayed on the underside of the leaves where absorption occurs. Although the mixture is non-toxic, management insists that the sprayer wears protective equipment to prevent any long-term health problems. The hose handler stands well back and is not enveloped in the mist. The hose handler and the sprayer both wear rain gear to keep their clothing dry when brushing against the wet coffee. Along with office and storage buildings, there are 11 housing units in the plantation village and another 6 homes scattered throughout the farm. Approximately 80% of the farm's 53 full-time workers live on the plantation. Farm management believes that worker productivity is directly related to the quality of life on the farm. Therefore, the standard of living of employees is not only of humanitarian interest, but also a business concern. Primary education is obligatory in Costa Rica. The plantation supports the local school and provides uniforms for all of the employees' children. Management organizes and financially contributes to sports programs, such as the farm football team, and is involved in other cooperative activities such as contributing matching funds to the Workers' Association savings plans, providing private medical care for serious illness, and using the farm's bulk purchasing power to stock an at-cost commissary to supply inexpensive goods to cover workers' basic needs. The coffee crop begins to ripen at the end of the rainy season, farm labors are finished, and the harvest is initiated. The cherries gradually change color from dark green to deep red and plump up with a sweet, sticky mucilage covering the seed. All of the coffee is picked by hand. As it is picked, it falls into a woven basket called a canasto, which is tied securely around the picker's waist. The harvest at La Minita lasts from November to April. A tree's fruit does not all ripen at the same time. Therefore, to collect all of the coffee, each tree on the plantation must be picked at least 3 and possibly 4 times. If planting is not precise and picking does not keep up with the ripening, a lot of coffee can be lost and the taste of the coffee will suffer. In Costa Rica, the coffee harvest is called La Fiesta de Café, which means the coffee festival. It is a time of good weather, hard work, and good pay. Whole families join in the harvest. At the height of the picking, there are upwards of 450 people gathering coffee. As well as all of the residents of the farm, pickers are recruited from the surrounding villages, and there is a camp with showers, indoor plumbing, and cooking facilities for those people who live too far away to travel to the farm every day. Each day, a picker is assigned a section of a row of coffee, and he or she harvests all the ripe fruit on each tree. Unripe fruit must be left to ripen for the next pass, and the picker must be careful to do as little damage as possible to the branches and foliage of the coffee trees. At the end of the day, the pickers gather with the foreman of their unit to measure the coffee that they have harvested. The coffee is measured by volume, using a unit of measurement called a cajuela. This is equivalent to 20 liters. After the coffee is measured, it is set aside to await transport, and the picker is paid cash for the amount of coffee that he has harvested that day. The pickers reap an enormous weight of coffee fruit. This will exceed 5 million pounds over the course of the harvest. From the paying stations, the coffee is loaded into trailers and hauled to the central receiving location. The coffee in this trailer is a mixture of red and yellow catuai. The coffee is remeasured at the central receiver by an employee sent from the processing mill. This measurement is done in a box that has a volume equal to 10 cajuelas, or 200 liters. The measurer fills the box until the surface is level with the sides. The coffee is then emptied into a holding silo, and the measurer notes the measurement on a board. It is the responsibility of the tractor driver to ensure that the coffee is correctly measured. He will be held to account if the measure does not match the amount of coffee paid for in the field. When the trailer is empty, an official receipt will be issued for the coffee. After the last measurement is made, the coffee is shoveled from the holding silo into a waiting truck that will transport it to the processing mill. At the peak of the harvest, the last coffee from the field might arrive at the receiver as late as midnight.